this morning with Leslie Chong from Imugene. Leslie, good morning.
Hi there, Andrew.
Certainly been a busy end to the year for you. November in particular, a busy month of investor presentations in Australia. Give us a bit of an indication as to how they went.
Okay, so we had presentations at the Society of Immunotherapy conference in Boston. So we got off the plane literally with Professor Yuman Fong and Dr. Saul Priceman, and we went on a pretty impactful in not only people and information tour. So I took Professor Fong and Dr. Salman, Dr. Priceman to Melbourne, where we met something like probably 200 shareholders of Imugene, and they got to meet them in person. I brought them back up to Sydney, and again, roughly about 200 shareholders we got to meet with in person. So we talked about what is happening in the oncolytic viral therapy and how Human invented this, and then how we're carrying it to full in several different constructs. So I would say a lot of folks got to meet the inventors, the brilliant Professor Fong and Dr. Priceman.
And you've just got off the plane from Singapore. You were there for the European Society of Medical Oncology, presented some positive HER-Vaxx data there.
That's right. So we got to have an oral presentation. So in an event like that, or conferences like that that are focused around international news and data, it is extremely hard to get an oral presentation because it's peer reviewed by scientists. And this one was unique enough and worthy enough not only to have an oral presentation, but they had a plenary session and a discussion afterwards. So we got a lot of eyes and ears on our product. But in addition to that, that oral presentation, we sent a similar presentation and data to what's called the American Society of Clinical Oncology, and that is focused on gastric cancer, and this is in San Francisco in January. This is the biggest gastric cancer conference in the world, and we also received an oral presentation, and this is a bit longer, so because it's so focused on gastric. And then we not only have the Horizon study, so this is our monotherapy in combination with chemo, we also have our next Horizon, and this is a combination of HER-Vaxx and pembrolizumab, also entered or accepted for a presentation. And in addition to that, our vaccinia, there's two presentations by vaccinia in the gastric space. So I'm delighted we have 4 presentations, one that's an oral presentation, rather long, in ASCO GI for January.
Just while we're talking vaccinia, Leslie, you've announced here recently the first patient dosed as part of the IV cohort 2 of the trial.
That's absolutely right. So the FDA did make a stagger in the vaccinia study, and we finished up the IT in cohort 1 in order to start the IV, so intravenous setting, and right away we got enrollment. And so we're already at cohort 2. And so what we can anticipate now is that if we clear both of cohort 2 in intratumoral intravenous, then we can go right into a combination setting. So I'm quite excited. I think that this IV cohort 2 will fill up fairly fast, as we did in cohort 1. So then we'll go in Q1 of 2023. You can anticipate that we're going to start getting combination data. I'm also failing to mention that our checkback, which is our CF33 with the PD-L1 transgene, is also accepted at the San Antonio Breast Cancer Conference, and that's going to be presented on the 9th of December. So this is the first time we have any patient data to be disclosed in the biggest breast cancer conference in the world. So we're very conference focused and conference heavy, which is so nice.
And next year, certainly sounding conference heavy also. You've got the JP Morgan conference, Leslie, in January.
So JP Morgan is the largest investment conference for biotech and pharmaceutical companies. And Imugene has not only been invited to attend, but we also have been invited to speak. So we will be presenting at JP Morgan in January, and we'll release exactly the time and date and the webcast where to log on to watch me speak, apparently.
Well, look, for investors, shareholders in Imugene watching this conversation this morning, why is Imugene presenting at these conferences important? What does it mean for their investment?
I think we're getting that important data where we're making a huge stride in the biotech and pharmaceutical world, and contending with the likes of other large biotech companies. So I think that's where the interest is coming from. We've got lots of clinical data to start, and some of it to read out by 2023. So for example, we've got the CF33 CD19 that we call onCARlytics. These are the 3 posters that got accepted to SITC. That will receive an FDA IND, and shortly after we'll start putting that into patients. So that's where the rubber really hits the road. We will be able to see how our products will act in humans. So I'm quite excited about that. We'll have further readouts from several of our other compounds, so that's pretty exciting. But 2023 is going to be even more heavy in conferences, which I'm very proud of, because you need to show off your products in the world stage of cancer. And so that's exactly where we are at the end of this year. That's where we'll be next year. So we'll keep on keeping on.
Good to speak, Leslie. Nice to see you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.